Going quite well the other day at Caulfield, and of course he was caught 3 wide, a little bit deceiving. I thought he had no cover. Then having a really good look at the race, I think he did have some cover because the horse in front of him was tending to lay out a little bit, so that's quite important when you're doing the form. I think I'll leave him there with a good each-way chance in the race, though.
Jen, my selection is another one of Bart's runners, number 7, Runaway, to be ridden by Greg Hall. He's only ever had a handful of rides for Bart Cummings, and he might finish up winning his 3rd Amy Victoria Derby here today. He's a very impressive type.
Yes, the distance looks like it's really going to suit Runaway. He's a horse that has been racing very well. He gets back a little bit. He should be running on strongly at the end of this, and he does get his chance.
Number 8, Hamlet, there's no doubting he's got ability. Rod Griffiths is the rider, and I think he's going to have his hands full because whilst he is a talented horse, he's still got no idea how to settle in a race.
No, I think he's been quite disappointing too, Peter, since his win at Moonee Valley, and I just don't know that he's quite up to some of these. I'd be happy to leave him out.
He was on his toes in the mounting yard, and you can see he's on his toes in front of this big crowd. Number 9, Wellington, the grey, trained by Guy Walter at Warwick Farm to be ridden by Brett Preble, and he's finished 5th at his past 2 runs, but there was a bit to like about both of them.
Yes, he gets back in his races. He can be a little bit slow out from the barriers, and on that performance in the Derby trial, he did run on strongly towards the end. He's going to need some luck from the back of the field here. If he gets it, I'd say he's a place chance.
One of the world's leading riders, perhaps the premier rider, Frankie Dettori, takes the ride on number 10, Leading Light, the 3rd of Bart Cummings' representatives, never closer than 3 wide in the Norman Robinson at Caulfield.
He's an honest type of horse, and he would be trained to the minute being with Bart Cummings. Very good jockey on board, and I think he's probably not the absolute roughest in the race.
There will be a dynasty completed if number 11 Typhoon is to win the race. As we've said, Bart Cummings has won 5 derbies. Anthony Cummings trains this horse, and Anthony's grandfather Jim won the Derby 50 years ago with Comic Court.
Danny Nicklick rode this horse very well at Caulfield in the Norman Robinson, and his form has been good without being outstanding. I just have a slight query as to whether or not he'll be able to stay the distance.
11 Wajib Star to be ridden by Greg Childs for Leon Corstens at Flemington. There was a bit of a whisper for him at Caulfield where he disappointed, and then I thought his run at Geelong was pretty ordinary.
Yes, I tend to agree with both of those comments there, Peter. He would really have to lift on those last 2 efforts.
13 Receptor, Craig Williams rides for Leon McDonald, and he hit the front at the 300-metre mark in the Geelong Derby trial and just weakened the last little bit.
Yeah, I thought he was given every chance at Morphettville as well, so he's a handy horse, but he's handy in weaker company than this.
Solidity is having only its 4th start. It is the least experienced horse in the field, trained by Robbie Griffiths, and Peter Mertens is the rider, and he's flying pretty high.
Well, the Derby trial was his last run, and he didn't have a great deal of luck there, but I'm not keen on him here either. I think I'd prefer to see him in weaker company as well.
And what about number 15, Stolly? Jimmy Conlon is the trainer, and just to make sure that everything was going right, he had an Aboriginal smoking ceremony at the stables the other night to ward off the evil spirits. Do you think it might help get Stolly over the line?
What do you make of that, Pete? I don't know about that one. I don't know if it'll help at all here. This horse did lead them up in the Geelong Derby trial, and he just held his ground. I think he looks outclassed, and I'd prefer some others here.
Well, sum up the Amy Victoria Derby for 1998, Jen. Give us the trifecta.
Okay, I'll try, Peter. I'm going for number 7, Runaway, to win from number 6, Lawyer, and number 3, Lawyer, and number 6, Sky Heights.
And I think that Runaway is the likely winner. I think Mosman is definitely going to be in the race, and I think Wellington possibly might be the outsider. Let's take a look at the latest tote call as they go to the gates with Dan Malicki on the Amy Victoria Derby.
One of 5 horses in single figures, Mossman, Arena, Lawyer at 470. Equal favourite with Sky Heights, 520 for Runaway. The second page mainly with long shots here. $19 for Leading Light, which is number 10, but much bigger odds on track, and around the $29 mark for number 11, Typhoon. Huge pulls in both the win and the place for the Amy Victoria Derby. Okay, the betting ring, often our best guy, particularly in these sorts of races, and particularly with the likes of the Cummings stable, the Hawkses, and of course Clary Connors. Tim.
Dan, it's unbelievable. It's been a massive betting race. As you said, there's 5 horses under double-figure odds, and all have had support. In particular, number 2, Arena, it has shortened up quite alarmingly with the bookmakers, but I tell you now, they're jumping out of the trees to get on Sky Heights. Number 6, Sky Heights, will run the pronounced favourite, but as I said, if you like any of the top 5, you're getting good each-way odds, but they're jumping out of trees to get on Damien Oliver and Sky Heights.
Sky Heights, the tip down there in the betting ring. There's the map, and again, 2,500 metre start. And it's been so decisive in derbies over the years. One of the greatest 3-year-olds we've had in the modern era, Sabo, was trapped wide on the first turn in a derby, and that was the end of him. There are the selections from the experts. Runaway from Jenny Chapman, Sky Heights Richard Friedman, Lawyer from John Letson, Gary Willett, Sky Heights from Dan Malicki, Runaway from myself. A man who's perfectly qualified to find us the winner of the Amy Victoria Derby is a man who won it 4 times as a jockey, one of our greatest ever, Roy Higgins. And as we look at Lawyer going behind the gates, it's a hard task to pick a winner on looks here, Roy, because they all look superb.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, Pete, because all these horses are trained for this race. Yep. They're set for this, you know, some months in advance. I've gone along with those other 2 old retired jockeys, Gary and Letzi, because I myself like Lawyer also. I think he's a pretty genuine little racehorse, this guy. He goes out and he's a little tradesman. He does his work. I think Shane will probably ride him forward. I marked him on top of number 2, Arena. I like the look of this horse today. By gee, he's peaked perfectly for this race. The other certainly Sky Heights. He's a big, loose, immature fellow, but I think he's got an enormous depth of ability. And the 7 Runaway, well, you can always never look past one about Cummings' horses here at Flemington, so you got to put him in. But I went with 3 Lawyer in front of 2 Arena, 6 Sky Heights, and 7 Runaway for the big VRC Derby, mate.
Roy, as the 15 horses and riders are out behind the gates, I mentioned that they start at the 200 metre mark. Many a derby has been won and lost in that first 200 metres. Have they got a set plan, and have they got a plan B if something goes wrong coming out of the gates?
Well, you really have to have it. As you know, in the old days, the derby used to be run over the 2,400 metres, but that was too close to the turn out of the straight. It was then extended to the 2.5 to give the jockeys and the horses more time to get their horses in focus to balance before they take that sharp turn out of the straight. You must have a plan B, because there's no guarantee your horse is actually going to break on terms. You must have a plan B ready and in action, but normally you do have a set pattern in place when you walk into the gates.
The man who won the Victoria Derby on 4 occasions, as we mentioned, on Caliph in 66, Diana 72, Taj Rossi in 73, and Stormy Rex in 1977. The thoughts of Roy Higgins. So here you can see it might all be decided in the first 15 seconds. What about the last minute or so of betting? Tim Gossage, bring us up to date.
Peter, a lot of good phone bets on Sky Heights. It's going to run the pronounced favourite, and also some good money again for Arena, but Sky Heights will run an outstanding favourite in the Derby.
First run in 1855, and the honour roll contains horses the calibre of Tulloch, Farlap, Tobin Bronze, Taj Rossi. Some of the greats of the Australian turf have won this, and another name is about to be added to the honour roll. Let's go up to the commentary box in front of this huge crowd at Flemington. The first of our features. They're filling the stalls for the Amy Victoria Derby. Dan Malicki and Gary Willits.
Moving up, only a handful to move in.
Incredible crowd here now, Dan. It's just built up and built up. We just see the people arriving, and you know, it's a beautiful day now. It's going to be interesting. Arena, I like the look of it. Drawn 14, needs a little bit of luck. I think Larry Cassidy might just drop across behind them and hope for a bit of luck on the run.
Typhoon, the last one up. Typhoon about to go in. Runaway in this race. Part raced by Barry Purden, the Cups King of harness racing trainers, and racing a horse with the Cups King of thoroughbreds, Bart Cummings, and Runaway. Set for the Amy Victoria Derby, 1998. Gates crash back and away they go now. And Mossman jumped well from Bet on a Road. Lawyer, Wajib Star ridden forward today. Sky Heights will be back about midfield by the winning post the first time. Hamlet is wide and pressing forward. Receptor, Mithranda ease back. Runaways back about 4th last on the inside. Then came Arena, Wellington, and about 3 or 4 lengths away last out of the straight was Typhoon. The leader is Mossman. Second, Wajib Star. Hamlet 3 wide, pressing on. Going around Bet on a Road 4th, and Sky Heights is 5th on the inside. Lawyers trapped out wide around Leading Light. Midfield, the inside Solidity. 1.5 lengths to Runaway. Then Stolly. Next, Wellington from Receptor, Mithranda. On its inside was Arena, and 4 lengths away last was Typhoon. Mossman at the 1800 is the leader and is out by 1.5 lengths. Running second is Hamlet. 2 lengths to Wajib Star third. 4th on the inside is Sky Heights getting a nice run. Bet on a Road was 5th, and then Leading Light 6th the rails. 1.5 lengths away Lawyer. Inside of it Solidity. 1 length back to Runaway, now away from the rails. Then the grey Wellington, 1/2 length back to Stolly. Arena racing inside Receptor, 1.5 lengths to Mithranda, and Typhoon is last, about 12 to 15 lengths off the lead. 1,400 metres to go on the Amy Victoria Derby, and Mossman in front, leading by 2 lengths. Running second, Hamlet. Sky Heights has had a lovely run third the inside. Wajib Wodgem Star fourth. Then in fifth spot, Leading Light, 3/4 to Bet on a Road. 2 lengths away then to Solidity on the inside of Lawyer. 1.5 to Runaway outside of Wellington. 2 lengths to Stolly. On the inside of it was Arena. Another 2 to Receptor, then Mithrander, and 3 lengths away Typhoon. Inside the 1,000 metres, and it's Mossman in front, leading 3/4 of a length to Hamlet. 1.5 to Sky Heights, third on the inside of Wodgem Star. Bet on a Road fifth, and on the inside of it was Leading Light. From Lawyer seventh, 1.5 away Solidity, then Runaway. Wellington working into it, then came Arena trying to get off the rails. From Mithrander, Stolly wider out from Receptor, and Typhoon last. 600 left to go, and it's Mossman turning for home in front of the Derby, leading by a length. Hamlet second, Sky Heights third, the inside now being asked the effort. Then Wodgem Star, Lawyer running on, so too Runaway, and then Leading Light and Arena. Mossman left the fence at the 350. Sky Heights goes through on the inside of it. Arena running on, then came out wide Runaway and Wellington and Lawyer. Mossman in front, Arena after it. Wider out Lawyer and Runaway. Arena goes to Mossman, Sky Heights, Lawyer, and further out Runaway. Arena hit the lead on the Derby. It's drawn away from Lawyer, Sky Heights, and Arena's coming away. Arena wins the Derby by 2.5 lengths. Sky Heights has run second, Lawyer third, Mossman fourth, then Runaway and Wellington. Next in Hamlet, a long break to Typhoon. Then came Mithrander, Receptor, Wodgem Star. Well back Leading Light with Stolly and Bet on a Road towards the tail of the field. Solidity's finished a long last.
Well, Danny, I've seen Larry Cassidy ride some great races, but I bet all his career he won't ride a better win than what he did then. He drew 14, he dropped across the back of them, he was running second last. He never left the fence until he got into the straight. He just kept coming along, taking the runs as they presented themselves, and it was just a gem of a ride.
And we might see a 3-year-old in the Melbourne Cup yet.
Well, that's right. But it was a great ride. Here he is, like, he'd done all the hard work actually before this to get the runs, but he's about 6 back on the fence there in the cerise colours, and he just keeps getting a run. He's actually got up behind Sky Heights and Mossman here. Mossman's in the green with the breastplate, and Sky Heights is on the fence, and the cerise colours is Arena. And here's Larry, he's just left the fence to go around Sky Heights, comes outside Mossman, and look at the way this horse lengthens stride. But it was just a brilliant ride.
And he really careered away. He seemed to be stronger than the other horses. Lawyer, I thought Shane Dye did everything right.
Yes.
Greg Hall followed everything Shane Dye did, and Arena just opens up over the concluding stages. Sky Heights was a 10 out of 10 ride. He just wasn't good enough, or perhaps not seasoned enough.
I'd say that he's immature, and look, I know that family pretty well. And it'll be a brave man to back against him if he backs up in the AJ say Derby in the autumn. But
263 are official.
Here's another great one of the head-on. And as I said, like, Larry drew 14, dropped across, but he's back in those cerise colours of Jack Ingham, trained to perfection by Johnny Hawkes. But this ride, boy, Johnny often rates his jockeys, but he'll give I reckon 11 out of 10 for this one, Dan.
Well, Larry Cassidy had a great carnival up in Sydney, and he's really come to life today. John Letts is on banjo and escorting Larry Cassidy and Arena back to scale after winning the Group 1 Victoria Derby.
Larry, the BRC Derby, what a great ride. You dropped off early. You and John Hawkes worked it out before the race?
Yeah, we did. I actually talked to Mr. Ingham and John, and we decided just to drop straight back, leave him alone early because we know he can run the journey. It was just a matter of having luck in the running. All I can say, I made my own luck.
Yeah, Larry, it was a great ride because you never went round a horse till you turned for home, and then you really powered home. What do you think? Do you think you're running the 3200, the big one, on Tuesday?
I don't know, but tell you what, he'll stay all day.
You'll waste to ride him?
I'm actually booked for Skybow.
Oh, it's a difficult decision.
What happens, yeah.
It was a great ride, Larry, in the BRC Derby. Great race.
I think I should thank the gentleman in the Herald Sun. All he done was fire me up.
Good on you, Larry. That's all you needed.
Jack Ingham is down here, the winning owner. Jack, congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Well, John Hawkes can sometimes be hard on jockeys. He will often tell them what he thinks, but I think he'll say well done to Larry Cassidy after that.
Well, he told him to go out there and just ride as if it's in a maiden race. Go to the back, don't come wide at the turn, cut the corner, and just ride it for luck.
In some ways, he was the forgotten horse of the Derby. His form leading up had been pretty good.
Well, Johnny said to me, if he draws a good alley, he'll win. And when we drew 14, it made it look a lot harder, really.
Well, the big question mark now is, and I think he might have just unseated Larry Cassidy, so we'll keep an eye on that situation and hope that he's okay. The big question now is, will he run in the Foster's Melbourne Cup on Tuesday?
I think so, yeah. I've got to talk to Johnny, but I think he will.
Not too big a task for a 3-year-old, Jack?
Got to find someone to ride him. How often can you get a runner in the Melbourne Cup?
That's going to be the hardest task, 46.5 kilos.
Right. No, he'd get 48 now. So they get weight for age, don't they?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Jack, well done.
Thanks very much.
Jack Ingham, the winning owner. Larry Cassidy has jumped back aboard Arena. That's good to see. He's okay. He might have just got a bit of a fright from the big crowd here. And I think Mark Aston is standing by now, and he has with him the winning trainer in the Amy Victoria Derby in John Hawkes. Not quite yet, but I tell you what, I can get to John Hawkes, so I'll come up here and I'll have a word to the man who's taken out the Derby, and we'll get it from the horse's mouth and see, just confirm what Jack Ingham just said. Hawksy, well done.
Thanks, Pete.
Will he run in the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, you're running the Melbourne Cup.
That was a solid staying effort today.
Yeah, lovely ride. He rode him very well, and we'd always decided to go back. And but that was a race he was always brought to Melbourne for, to win the Derby. And he's always been a staying horse, and that's what we've always had in mind. And if he won the Derby, he was always to run the Melbourne Cup.
When you see a race like that and it's unfolding perfectly to script, do you sort of have to pinch yourself and say, this is going too well?
No, not really. That's really what it's all about, Pete. There's a lot of people put a lot of work behind the scenes. My son and everybody back in Sydney, Peter Snowden, back to the people at Wareham. There's a lot of people, and that's really what it's all about. And you sort of have your bit of luck. We haven't had a lot of luck, down here this spring, but it's all come together on the right day.
There aren't many 3-year-olds who've run in the Melbourne Cup recently. Stylish Century, Nothing Like a Dane come to mind. It's not too big a task for a 3-year-old, you feel?
Well, it's it's a race I've always had in mind. He's a very mature, always was, even as a 2-year-old, even though he wasn't sort of a sprinting horse. He was always mature enough, I felt, to run in that, and that's why we aimed for the Derby. And if he pulled up and ran well, he was always going to run the Melbourne Cup.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Pete.
John Hawkes, the winning trainer after the Amy Victoria Derby. Arena running in the Melbourne Cup. The 3-year-old will take on the best from around Australia and around the world come Tuesday here at Flemington, and that has just added another dimension to a race which is already quite incredible in its build-up. John Hawkes, a very happy man, and well he might be, and Larry Cassidy coming back to scale now after that minor mishap when the big crowd gave him a roar and he was unseated. But that's about the only thing he did wrong for about the last 10 minutes, was fall off as they were coming back to scale, because in the run he did everything right. You don't often get 10 out of 10 rides in major races, and I don't think there's much doubt that was a 10 out of 10. Larry Cassidy gets up on the scales, weighs in with 55.5 kilos, and now speaks with Mark Aston.
Yeah, good on you, Pete. Couldn't find Johnny Hawkes, but we found Larry Cassidy. How are you feeling after that fall?
Yeah, he was a bit spooked with the crowd. The crowd were giving a good reception, and he just spooked straight away and ducked straight from underneath. I land on my feet anyway, so it's not counted.
How are you feeling? Because there has been a lot of criticism about your riding here in Melbourne. You're a great rider in Sydney, but some suggest you just haven't quite got it here for some reason, and you've proved them wrong today, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. All I've done was fire me up. And the funny thing is, I've ridden Melbourne way round all my life. I've only ridden Sydney way round since I've moved there. It's these new mirrored goggles I got. they make it look Sydney way round here.
What about the speed of the race, Larry? Did that suit you?
The speed suited. We just went straight back and just done nothing early, and I never left the fence until the 350.
Is that one of your best rides?
Certainly up there.
Do you think you'll get the 2 mile?
Yeah, I think so. Well, they all get 2 miles. Just depends how fast they can get it.
Congratulations, mate. Celebrate, but perhaps wait until the end of the day.
Wait till the end of the day.
Good on you, Larry. Larry Cassidy there, Pete.
Mark Aston with Larry Cassidy after the Amy Victoria Derby. A magnificent ride, a great performance, and now the horse will run in the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Weight has been found correct. Correct weight is there. Time for the journey, a tick over 2:35. We'll be back shortly as the connections of Arena, Bob and Jack Ingham, John Hawkes and Larry Cassidy accept the spoils after the premier race on the first day, the Amy Victoria Derby.
On the 10 Network, this is the Amy Victoria Derby from 1998. We've just seen a brilliant win by Larry Cassidy on Arena. Big crowd here, and they're seeing some champagne racing on a champagne day. And there is our well, one of our best friends on any race day. Whitman's Chockies Lightship. And there's the picture from the Lightship that gives us a great view of Flemington on Derby Day, and to follow Cup Day and Oaks Day and Emirates Stakes Day on Saturday. Time for the divvies. We have correct weight. Here's Dan.
Tim, Arena returns $8.60 and $2.80. Sky Heights $1.90 and Lawyer $1.90. Quinella $19.40. The trifecta $154.50, and the race to race double returns $121.10 for the combination of 1 and 2.
Thank you, Dan. Well, you know, Peter Donegan, as I come back to you, the great Australian writer Frank Hardy once said that this is the only country in the world, I'll come back to Peter shortly, the only country in the world that reveres its jockeys more than musicians or scientists. And after that ride, I don't know if that's true, but after that ride, you can see why we do revere them. That was a brilliant piece of horsemanship from Larry Cassidy, and Arena just a great win in the Amy Victoria Derby of 1998. Just getting his sash on, as you saw coming back down the race. Arena just a little spooked by the big crowd, and got rid of Larry. And Rob Gaillard is now ready for the presentations on the mounting yard.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. May I introduce to you the chairman of the VRC, Mr. David Burke.
Your Excellency, Sir James Gobbo and Lady Gobbo, the Lord Mayor and Mrs. Devison, Honourable Ministers, Mr. and Mrs. Brian Keane, representing Amy. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen a running of a great race. I think you'll all agree it was a great result for great sportsmen like the Inghams to win the race. We'd like to thank the sponsor, Amy, for its support of the Derby, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Brian Keane, the Chief Executive of Amy, who'll make the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Keane.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there's no better place to be than in Melbourne in the springtime, and particularly here at Flemington for the best race day and the best race course anywhere. And Amy is proud and honoured to be able to play our part with the VRC in presenting this magical Derby Day. To win any race is every owner's dream. To win the Derby, no matter how many previous winners you might have had, has got to be a dream come true. And today it's my very great pleasure to congratulate the Woodland Stud Syndicate, Jack and Bob Ingham, who have put so much into racing and take quite a bit of our money out of it too, on their wonderful win with Arena. Congratulations, Jack, and please accept this trophy for the 1998 Derby. Thank you, Ron.
Your Excellency, Chairman of the VRC, Committee of the VRC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, what a great thrill. I've ran second a couple of times, but it's just a great thrill to breed a horse like Arena and to win this great race. I want to congratulate Amy for their wonderful support of racing. I've won a few of their prizes over the time. Brian said he's sick of the look of me coming up and getting these trophies, but it's a wonderful thrill. I also want to congratulate the VRC for the great job they do for racing. Melbourne in the spring, there's nothing like it. We all love to come here. The track's beautiful, the people are wonderful, we've got a wonderful day, and it's just a great joy to be here. I've got to say that John Hawkes has done a marvellous job with this horse. He said to me a week or two ago, he said, we'll win the Derby. He said, all we need's a good barrier. And when we got the visitors' barrier, well, we weren't at all happy. We were downcast, really. But anyway, Larry has rode a wonderful race. John said to go out and ride him as if it's a maiden. Get back in the field. Don't come wide on the turn. Just take your luck. And luck's turned our way. So it's a wonderful thrill. And now I've got to talk my trainer into running him in the Melbourne Cup. I don't know whether we can find a rider, but anyway, we'll be there on Tuesday, I'd say. And thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, on days like this, we've come to expect John Hawkes to be centre stage. He is, after all, a consummate professional. On behalf of Amy, can I congratulate John Hawkes as the trainer of Arena.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Mr. Burke, Mr. Keane, members of the VRC committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a tremendous thrill to be up here today to win a race like the VRC Derby. We're unlucky here a couple of years ago, so in some ways this makes up for it. There's a lot of people to thank behind the scenes that do a lot of work that don't get a lot of recognition. Back to our people in Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Queensland, wherever they be today. Everybody's had some sort of part in winning this race today. I'd like to thank Amy especially for sponsoring this race. It's a tremendous that they sponsor a race of the Group 1 status here in Victoria. I'd like to thank Jack and Bob for giving me the opportunity to train their horses throughout Australia. They really enjoy their racing with a passion and they just love to win races, whether it be a maiden or a Group 1. I'd like to thank especially my son Wayne, Simon and all his staff here in Victoria and Peter Snowden back in Sydney especially for all the hard work that they do behind the scenes. I'd also like to thank Larry Cassidy for a superb ride. Nobody could have ridden any better, absolutely superb. He hasn't had a lot of luck down here, but I'm sure he'll go on from here. I'd like to thank Darren Gauci, even though he's not here today, for a lot of work that he's put in behind the scenes. But someone's lost or someone's gained. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done to John Hawkes there, and yes, indeed, we should spare a thought for Darren Gauci, who would have ridden this horse if he had not been suspended, Jen.
Yes.
He still would have missed the ride, even apart from the accident at the track the other day.
That's true, and let's hope that Darren is recovering very well from that broken leg.
And we will be talking to Darren Gauci on Cup morning just to see what his thoughts are. I can tell you something. I know one collection of people who won't be too happy that Arena's won the Derby.
Who's that?
The Connections of Yorkshire. Because that's going to make it harder for that horse to get into the Melbourne Cup field now.
Is it ever? Yes, they won't be happy at all.
Speaking of Melbourne Cup runners, we've got 6 of them in the next. The Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes. It's always one of the great highlights on Derby Day.
It sure is, Peter, and I thought Champagne had a very good chance here. She had a luckless run in the Caulfield Cup, got a lot of interference there, and I thought, she's a mare that has won over $1 million in prize money, so her form is very, very good. Number 7, Tie the Knot, it's hard to knock him. He's a classy individual. And number 8, from the Hawkes stable, once again, Dodge is a very consistent horse.
I think he might make it the big double here with Dodge. I was really taken with his run in the BMW Cox Plate last week. Let's have a look at the tote figures as they stand for race 7, the second of our Group 1 features today. Catalan opening at $10.90, Anis Mirabilis $6.20, Marble Halls $12.80. It's All in Fun $49. Aerosmith, a lot of people prepared to forgive him for that Caulfield Cup run, $5.30. Markham $54. Tie the Knot $4.80. Then we've got Dodge at $10.70, Northern Drake $12.10, and Fair Form number 11 at $11.30. Champagne right in the betting at $7 even. That's race 7 here at Flemington, the second of our Group 1 features. Let's find out the wash-up after the Derby and look forward to the McKinnon with Tim Gossage in the betting ring.
Yes, thank you. The bookmakers were happy that Sky Heights didn't win, but they got poleaxed, mind you, because of the win of Arena. It was also one of the best backed in the race. Well, in the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes, Tie the Knot has opened up a pronounced favourite, but there is already early money for the international horse, Anis Mirabilis. It has been well backed already. It's paying $6.20 on the tote, almost half that in the ring, so good money for the overseas.